Welcome to Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway, Kinks Part 2 edition. When we left our friends of North London, I was talking about Princess Marina and her hat and the Arthur album, one of Laurie's favorite, or one of my lovely assistant's favorite songs. But anyway, seriously now. So I went through like most of the Reprise records, but their life at Reprise ends with Lola and the Power Man. Wait, Lola versus Power Man and the Money Go Round. My sister Donna bought me this record for Christmas. It's the 50-year anniversary edition, and it's got the black lettering or the black artwork as opposed to the blue. And the copy that I bought like back in the 80s, it was a reissue on Reprise. It had blue lettering. Anyway, I believe the black is the original, and this is a nice pie record. Anyway, this is a great album. I'm surprised it didn't do as well as it should have done. But then again, no Kinks record have done as well as they should have done. So what are the songs besides Lola and Ape Man, you ask? Oh, there's Denmark Street, Top of the Pops, Get Back in Line, The Contenders. It's a real scathing review of the music business in England. It really sheds some light on the money grabbers and the people that use other people's talent to make money. Anyhow, Lola versus Power Man, The Money Go Round, Reprise Records, 1970. But that's it. They're done. Reprise Records. They're moving on. But there's one little album that's the I call the missing link between Reprise and the RCA years, which is Percy, the soundtrack that Ray Davies did. A British film, something about a transgender individual, possibly a sex change. I'm not sure, because I've never been able to find the movie. But this is a German edition on Pi. Nice little record, but not a proper Kinks album. It's a soundtrack. So anyway, so they moved to RCA Records. And RCA, they must have been like, do whatever you want to do. The label of Elvis, RCA. So the Kinks decide, or Ray Davies decides, somebody decides, we're going to, change it up a little bit. We're going to make our most American sounding album, and the focus of it is going to be North London, Muswell Hills, where the Davies brothers lived as young men. Anyway, so this is like the first Kinks album I ever owned. And I bought it in Phoenix, Arizona, and this is the one. It's on a orange Dynaflex label, very thin, in other words. Oh, the record comes in the front part of it. Oh. Nice little gatefold cover with the lyrics, but very American sounding. Like Dixieland music, even country music shows its face in this album. But it's a really great album. Not necessarily, the best first Kinks album to get. But this is what was available. It was a cutout. I probably paid $2 for it. Great album. And then they did a reissue. They did one of those 180-gram reissues. Oh, there's 2 records in here. There's a bunch of bonus tracks, also on RCA. But this album is about twice as thick as the other one. This has got some, besides Muswell Hills, Billy Boy, and 20th Century Man. I remember hearing that for the very first time when I was at my friend Ed's house. I think we were like smoking a joint outside the window of his sister's room, and she was playing this album. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Never heard it again for another 10 years, but I remembered. When I was in England in 2005, I went to Soho, and I was looking for used record stores. Finally found one. Seemed like it was predominantly a jazz record store. But downstairs they was relegated to the rock music. And every time I picked up an album cover and said, "Can I see this?" because the records were behind the counter, they were like not in really good condition. So I got kind of discouraged, and I went over to the 45 section and I bought a few 45s, including this one, Supersonic Rocket Ship, with You Don't Know My Name. Apparently this was a single. This, I believe, is a German 45. And it says on the bottom, ask for album Muswell Hillbillies. Well, yeah, that's a great thing. You should ask for the album Muswell Hillbillies, but this song is not on the album Muswell Hillbillies. This is on Everybody's in Showbiz. Everybody's a star. Celluloid Heroes. This one, oh, this has got a seam split. This my brother Gene bought for me at Christmas. Now I had another version of it, but it had the black RCA label because it was a reissue. This one here has got the orange Dynaflex label. Let's see how thin this is. Check this out. Check out how thin these records were. Ooh, they make good sound effects as well. But anyway, this is a double album. Half of it's live, half of it's the studio, and it's got the gem Celluloid Heroes. Everybody's a star. Also has a great song called Sitting in My Hotel. It's kind of like, you know, this guy's been in the music business for, you know, professional for like 10 years. And he's still got to, you know, try to live up to his friends. Or explain himself to his friends. It's kind of what that song is about. It's really, well, it's from being away. It's like being in a hotel room. Good album nonetheless, not my favorite, but Everybody's a Star. Little Marilyn Monroe there, you know. Nice. So, any questions before I move on to the Preservation Act 1?
Their covers got more artistic, it seems, as time went on.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like this one, they're in a bar room. I'd love to go to this
Like
pub.
the artwork.
I'd love to go to this pub, but this,
rather
yeah,
than
this
a
is
photo,
very colorful.
rather than, yeah,
very nice. Yeah.
rather than just a photo, that's really, yeah, arty.
Yeah, it's got the, you know, it's got the Hollywood stars up on the top, and then the young children enjoying the Celluloid Heroes. Anyway, the stuff that they're doing is I mean, it's great. I love it, but it's just a whole different period in their career, and most people couldn't figure it out. You know, I mean.
Does that mean they were not as commercially
That means
successful?
absolutely they were not as commercial. Period. You know.
Oh, so they didn't care.
And as a result, not commercially viable to the record-selling business. But hey, RCA kept them on for several years, so they must have been selling some records.
Yeah.
Because they had a cult following. My brother-in-law Matt gave me this album. And he's like, "Oh, you like the Kinks? Here, take this. This is a good one." I had Preservation Act 2, but I didn't have Act 1, so I didn't really get the whole story.
That's a cool cover. It's like Andy Warhol-ish.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Preservation Act 1. Now this is like the beginning of like a dystopian story. This is like this and Preservation Act 2 are almost like a science fiction of the like 1984 kind of story where Flash, the Trumpian character, the greedy mogul, real estate mogul, takes over the country, and basically he does it by buying up the property and threatening the housewives with. Anyhow, and there's the back. By this time, there was so many members in the Kinks because they had a full horn section. So they brought on people to play the horns, you know, like Alan Holmes. They got Laurie Brown singing, John Beecham, horns, and of course Ray and Dave Davies, Mick Avery still on drums, John Gosling's playing the keyboards, and John Dalton is still playing the bass. Let's hear a little bit from Preservation Act 1. Just so happens I have a best of, well, what do they call this? The Kinks' greatest celluloid heroes. Kind of like the greatest hits, being that they had no hits when they were on RCA. It's just a bunch of great songs. And this next great song that I'm going to play a little bit of was a lot of tribute to the 50s rock and roll in this one. And it's called One of the Survivors. Oh, and the Johnny Thunders pops up again. You remember Johnny Thunders from We Are the Village Green Preservation Society.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And anyway, so Johnny Thunders pops up again in this song, and let's hear a little bit of it. Let's crank it down and crank it up. Here's Dave Davies' bridge.
Burns are turning red, but it's the last to keep our booty alive. To his worn out 78, the Johnny Thunder. That's alright. It's one of the survivors. We're gonna fight the jobbers. Johnny and the Hurricanes. Johnny and the Hurricanes.
There you have it. One of the Survivors.
Wow, the horns really do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They knew how to use they had a good horn section. So anyway, they're only halfway through telling the story of preservation, right? So they come up with Preservation Act 2. Now this has got Flash, the Trumpian character that's taken over the country through lies and greed and, and buying up the land and knocking it all down, building a whole new world of their own. But you got Mr. Black. He's the Falwellian character that's going to take over in the end. Oh, and you got the second-hand car spiv. You got a soldier there. That must be the do-gooders. And anyway, it's a whole bunch of characters. Tells a story. It's like it's an opera, really, is what it is, because each song is sung by different people. And this probably could have managed to be a single album musically, but to tell the story, you need all those other songs. Kind of like the label has changed. Kind of like a Broadway show, I mean, when you listen to them at home without the story, you kind of like, what's going on?
So what happened to the movie?
There was never a movie.
Oh, I
There
thought you
should have
said
been
it was
movie.
a film and you couldn't find it.
No, that's Percy.
Oh.
Percy was that wasn't his movie, but he did the soundtrack. But no, these are all Ray Davies, the mind of Ray Davies, and they're just, they a lot of these were intended to be movies, and some of them were actually British television shows, or they did them they performed them live on television with a cast.
I see.
But anyway, Preservation Act 2, it all comes to a crashing end for Flash, and he's sent to have his mind reprogrammed by Mr. Black and the People's Army. So things were looking pretty dark, I guess, This is like a sad story, really.
It is.
So you need something lighter, you need something happy. And what makes people happy? Soap operas make people happy.
Oh, General
For
Hospital.
some reason. And this soap opera, this is another, story that would make a great film or a great Broadway musical. And this tells the story of a man that wants to be a star. And somehow I'm a little confused how it all happens, because there's a star maker and then there's Norman. And Norman becomes a star. But he pretends he's not Norman, he's somebody else. But he's living with his wife, Norman's wife, and goes on vacation, has an affair, but then at the end, he realizes, I'm just an ordinary man. That's good enough, All it is, I want to be a star, it's like, it's not making me happy. I'm just a face in the crowd. That's one of the songs, Face in the Crowd.
But that's cool art.
But, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I love the color.
And you see, this is like the Star Man. It's kind of like, what is that? The Sistine Chapel with the finger? It's kind of like that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, the Star Man is supposedly can make a star out of anyone. And he makes a star out of Norman. But
So did any singles come out of that? Any
singles,
they hit nothing?
that's the thing, that's
Not
the
making
problem.
the hits?
Everybody's a star. Everybody's a star is a
Oh,
good song. Everybody, it's like But that got a little bit of airplay. But there's some really funny stuff on this. This was my friend Jay's one of his favorite albums, and this was indeed his favorite Kinks album. Matter of fact, I heard this album long before I was a Kinks fan. And it took me a little while to embrace it as the great album that it is. Which it is. What did that label look like? That had a little brownish RCA too, yeah. I guess RCA moved away from the Dynaflex, around 1974. The last album that the Kinks put out on RCA Records. How do you like the artwork to that? But my theory is that Roger Waters, when he was writing The Wall and he wanted that headmaster, you can't have any pudding if you don't eat your meat baloney, was all kind of
No pun intended.
inspired by the same things, perhaps, maybe not this album, but the same things that inspired this album, which was the harsh reality of the British school system, I guess, Us Americans probably couldn't really relate to that unless we went to Catholic school. But, the story, like they're all in their little school outfits, just like the guy with the AC/DC.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, he would always, the guitar player, Anyway, I'm going to play a little ditty from this, and we'll end out this show. And what I wanted to play is, there's a scene in this where it also tells a story, pretty much. Well, sort of, loosely. It's a whole, schoolboys in disgrace, basically. So this schoolboy, he kind of, did something he shouldn't have did, and he gets beat by the headmaster. That's what they used to do back then. They
Ugh.
beat you in front of it, pull your pants down, everything. Those were the days. Anyway, so let me get a little bit of that, and we'll. 'Cause I love. And by the way, Dave Davies is like, he plays such good guitar through this whole '70s, and it stands out a little more because it's not as hard rock, so it's not as guitar oriented. But when he plays the guitar, it's just like it really stands out. So. Oh, he's going to the headmaster to confess that he's been with the girls. I think I bought this from my friend Glenn. Whenever somebody in the neighborhood was getting rid of records that I liked, I'd give them some money. Listen to this. There you have it.
There you have it.
Perhaps I'll do a show on the Kinks, the Arista years, because right after this they leave RCA, they go to Arista Records, they put out Sleepwalker, Rock and Roll Fantasy, and then boom, low budget, and they're on top again.
So what year was this?
This was 1975. Or perhaps it was 76. Yeah. They were like,
I'm saying they just really were very busy.
Very what?
They put out a lot of music.
Oh yeah, they put an album out every year. Like we just covered like 1970 to 1976.
I mean, we're so used to
basically.
artists now only doing, like one record every 2 years, maybe.
Oh yeah, well that's if you want to make any money, you
Well then.
you gotta. I mean, yeah, because it was like, yeah. So listen, no stump to Jamie's or anything, no questions, but I got a question
why?
for you.
Because I was stumped.
Because Lori was stumped. I mean, my lovely assistant was stumped.
You just.
Yeah, her. But listen, I got a question
I've been
for the
exposed.
people out there. So, the song Celluloid Heroes, right? 6-minute song.
Yeah.
There's a verse in the song. Basically, Marilyn Monroe, Mickey Rooney, and George Sanders. They're all mentioned in one verse of the song. But whenever I see anyone else do the song, or any live versions of this song that I hear the Kinks do, that verse is gone. Maybe they wanted to make a 5-minute song instead of a 6-minute song, so somebody had to go? I don't understand. I don't know. So why the verse, my favorite verse?
There was a verse with all three of them.
All three of them.
And that was cut out.
Completely cut it. The whole verse is cut out.
What was what was the verse?
You're going to make me sing it now?
Well, I just.
The verse was,
I'm just curious.
if you covered him with garbage, George Sanders would still have style. If you stamped on Mickey Rooney, he'd still turn around and smile. But don't tread on dear Miss Marilyn. She's not very tough. She should have been made of iron and steel, but she was only made of flesh and blood. That's our show tonight. Make some comments.
That was heavy.
Ask me some questions. Answer some questions. Tell me something about the Kinks I don't know. I mean, What's the deal with that song? Does anybody else notice that? Anyhow, I appreciate you all sticking it out. And if you can, subscribe, share this with your friends. Later, man, move it. Move it. Move it. Move it. Move it.